Good evening, everyone. We are actually going to be discussing how you can grow your online business with Zoho inventory. So, in the previous session, we saw about how you can grow your business using commerce. So, this part of the presentation is going to cover the inventory side of it. So, this is going to be the agenda for today's presentation now. First, we'll be discussing the modern inventory management problem, and then we'll be exploring the key features that we have that help you handle your business efficiently. And then we'll be discussing the custom and the reporting capabilities that we offer. And at the last, we'll be discussing what's in our roadmap, the future roadmap. So before we actually get started with the presentation, let me ask you all a question. So let's get started with a question. So how many of you here run or work for businesses that deal with inventory? Okay, that's almost all of them. So now let's take a quick guess. So what percentage of businesses do you think track inventory efficiently? Well, here's the reality. So first, let's start with the financials. Nearly 25% of every business cost is spent on inventory, yet 46% of the SMBs do not track inventory efficiently, making poor inventory management the fourth biggest killer of small businesses across the globe. And this only gets worse. A staggering $1.1 trillion is being lost every year due to overstocking costs. And particularly in the US, there has been a surge in unsold inventory year over year. And specifically in the year of 2022, there has been a 12% surge in unsold inventory from the previous year. And this makes it clear that inventory management, it is no longer an afterthought, but it's a strategic priority. And just when we thought inventory management is tough enough, the recent changes in the consumer shopping pattern, it is only making it even more complicated. So let's see how. A recent survey finds that nearly 73% of the consumers, they use multiple channels during their shopping journey, and businesses that sell on multiple platforms like their own website, on multiple platforms, they see up to 3.2 times more sales than businesses that just stick to one platform. And this is a massive opportunity. So selling on multiple platforms like your own website or retail outlets or marketplaces, it's no longer optional, but it's the standard now. And with opportunities comes complexities. So when you sell on multiple platforms like say your own website or retail outlets, one major hurdle that a business might face is the capability, like is having real time visibility of the stock. So particularly when you're selling on multiple platforms, it is necessary for you to stay in sync across all the platforms that you sell on, else you will eventually lead to a stock out. And stock out is the least that any business could ever want, because stock out is not just about one lost sale. It affects your reputation as a business, and that is the least that any business could ever want. And this is not all. Apart from inventory management, it is just the beginning, it is just half the battle won, whereas the rest is fulfilling the orders efficiently and on time. And even if businesses manage to stay on top of their inventory, nearly one third of the businesses, it is found that nearly one third of the businesses miss their shipment deadlines. And particularly in today's world, where there is rising customer expectations around delivery speed, this is completely unacceptable. And order fulfillment, efficient order fulfillment now in today's world, it is no longer an operational backend. It is a key driver for customer experience. And as businesses scale, the need for an efficient warehouse or an inventory management or an order management system becomes inevitable, not just to cut down costs or or not just to meet the expectations around delivery speed, but to unlock the true competitive advantage. And this is exactly where we come in, Zoho inventory. So recognizing this shift, we have evolved as a platform too. So what started off as an inventory and order management system, we have now grown into a comprehensive suite that helps businesses. We have grown into a comprehensive solution that helps businesses streamline their inventory, manage their orders across all the platforms that they sell on, and also handle their warehouse operations efficiently. So all in one platform to handle your inventory, your orders, and warehouse operations efficiently. So In order to understand some of our core capabilities, let's explore the product across three core areas which form the core of the product. So first, we'll be discussing inventory management. In this section, we'll be discussing the key features that we have that help you handle your inventory better. And then we'll be discussing warehouse management. And at last, we'll be discussing the order management functionalities that we have. So first up is inventory management. So in this part of the presentation, I'll be discussing some of the key features that we have that help you handle your inventory better. So every business has sells different types of items, and in order to cater to various business use cases, we have three ways in which you can configure the products that you sell into our system. So if you're selling standalone products, you can define them as items, or if you're selling products that come in variants, say a t-shirt with different colors or a mobile phone with different variants, you can configure them as item groups. And the third option is if you sell unbundled products together, say if you're selling one or more products together, we have this option called the composite items. Now we have enhanced, we have taken this composite items functionality a step further, and we have now introduced two distinct options within the composite item. One is the capability to create an assembly item, and the other option is to create a kit item. So let me help understand what is the difference between the two. So if assembly items are perfect, say if you want to physically put components together, and kit items can be used if you're grouping existing items for sale and without bundling required. Let me just give you a quick example so that you get the hang of it. So let's assume you're selling a bookshelf. You're assembling the bookshelf yourself. You have the individual components, that is the side panel, the back panel, and the shelves. So there are three individual parts which when assembled together form a finished product. So you have all the three parts together and assemble it together to make the finished product. So if you have products that need to be assembled, you define them as assembly items, and you have control. We now provide you an option where you can create draft bundles. So you can just get started with the assembly process. So let's take the example of the bookshelf itself. So initially you can get started with the assembly without committing stock right away. You can keep this assembly as draft, and only when it is ready, that is you can review the components, make adjustments if needed. Say if the customer has asked for any adjustments, you can make on top of it, and only when it is ready you can then create an assembly. This is the first example. The other one is, let's assume you're selling a combo of a chair and a table together. So both the chair and the table, they are already finished products, and no assembling of sorts is required. You just kit the items together and sell them as one. You don't require bundling at all. So if you have such products where you sell them together, as sell existing items together as a part of a sale or an ongoing deal, in that case you can define them as kit items, and in this particular case you don't require bundling at all. So these are the different ways in which you can configure items in Zoho. And the next functionality is, so as a business, each business is different. Each business operates differently, and it is necessary for us as an application to provide businesses with the flexibility to align your costs with your strategy. And that is the reason why we have come up with two methods of inventory valuation. The first one is the weighted average costing method. This is something that we have recently introduced. And then we have the first in, first out method of inventory valuation. So right when you're creating an item itself, you'll be able to choose the method of inventory valuation that best works for you. And thus, the method of inventory valuation, it remains consistent from day one. And it will also be reflected across all the reports that you have, so that you can get insights on what's happening with your business, and it also reflects your real world business. And the next option is the serial number tracking and the batch tracking. So apart from the basic inventory tracking features that we offer, like apart from keeping a track of what's on hand, we provide advanced inventory tracking options where you'll be able to associate a unique batch number or serial number to each quantity of the items that you sell. So both these options, that is the serial number tracking or the batch tracking, they offer you better traceability, and you get to track the stock movement of each individual unit of the item. So just to give you a quick example, let's assume you are selling electronic hardware. So this electronic hardware, let's assume you have 10 pieces of it in stock. If you have a unique serial number associated with each of the 10 hardware equipments that you have, in that case, you can make the best use of the serial number functionality. Similarly, if you have products that come with an expiry, say if you're selling apples, just for an example. So if you sell products that come with an expiry, you can have batch tracking enabled so that you can keep a track of the expiry and the manufacturing date of the products that you sell. So this is the advantage of using the advanced inventory tracking features. And the recent enhancements that we have made in this feature is that we now, on the serial number front, we now let you auto generate the serial numbers whenever you're recording an inward transaction. So when you're receiving inventory into the system, you will now be able to automatically generate the serial numbers. And on the batch tracking front, we have made some major updates. So when you're creating a batch, when you're recording a batch into the system, you will now be able to restock existing batches. So previously it was required of you to create new batch whenever a return happened. We now have this option where you can restock an existing batch. Not just that, in the item overview page, you will now be able to automatically create or edit a batch, and this gives you more convenience, and it also makes the process easier. And here's what one of our customers based in the US, a seafood importer, has to say about our inventory tracking capabilities, particularly about the batch tracking feature. So these are all real business stories, real stories from customers who have scaled their business using Zoho. Okay, so the next feature that we're going to be discussing is the price list. So in real world selling, pricing is not always one size fits all. So different customers and different situations, they often call for a customized pricing, and that is exactly why we have the price list functionality. So in Zoho, we have this option where you can define three types of price lists. One is you can either mark up or mark down the prices by a fixed percentage, and the next option is you can give a customized pricing for the products that you sell. So instead of a percentage based markup, you can now give a whole number discount of sorts. And the third option that we have is volume based discount, and in this particular option you will be able to give a discount based on the volume sold. Say for the first 10 quantities you give your price, and for the next 10 you offer a different price. So these are the three ways in which you can define the price list in Zoho. And next is one interesting feature that we're going to look at, which is the unit of measure. And even in this front, we have made some major enhancements. So in real world selling, the item in which the quantity in which you purchase the item need not necessarily be the quantity in which it is sold. Let's take the example of this water bottle itself. It comes in crates of 12 pieces maybe, for example, and it can also be sold in individual pieces. So in real world selling, in the example of the water bottle itself, the purchase unit is different and the selling unit is different. But as a business, you want to keep track of the units in one single unit, which is the bottle itself or the piece itself. And that is exactly when the unit of measure come into picture. So in Zoho, you'll be able to define your selling unit and the purchase unit and establish a connection between both these units so that the system can keep a track of what exactly is in stock in the base unit that you define. So in this example, the purchase unit can be the box, let's assume, and the selling unit can be pieces. So when you make a record of purchase in box, the system will automatically recognize that one box is equivalent to 10 pieces, provided you have the conversion defined already. So this is about the unit of measure functionality. And the next option is the ability, that is, in order to increase your efficiency of inventory operations and in order to speed up the inventory operations, we now support both the barcode generation and the barcode scanning capabilities. So in terms of barcodes, you will be able to automatically generate barcodes for the items based on unique identifiers that you can define for the item. By unique identifiers, I am referring to the SKU or the MPN and a few other fields. And not just that, we now have the capability where you can also generate barcodes for the serial numbers. You can now generate barcodes based on the serial numbers and the batch number. And we also have this option where whenever you're recording a purchase receive, you will now be able to automatically generate a receive as and when they are the items arrive into the warehouse, so that you can label the items as soon as they enter the warehouse. And in terms of barcode scanning, we help this barcode scanning functionality that we offer. It helps you identify items faster. So if you have a person walk-in store, instead of you having to search for an item when you're creating an invoice, it will but just by scanning the item, the system will be able to recognize the item and add it to the transaction, making the process easier and error free. So these are the options that we have in terms of how you can handle your inventory. So next up is the warehouse management capabilities. And in this part of the presentation, we'll be discussing how you can handle your warehouse operations efficiently using some of the key features that we have. So, in terms of the warehouse feature, the very first thing that comes is the ability to create multiple warehouses. So, if you have your stock available across multiple physical locations, in that case, you can define each location of yours as a warehouse in our system. Thereby, you get a holistic view of the stock availability across the different warehouses that you own. For example, if you're based in Houston, and let's assume you have a warehouse in the downtown area and the uptown area, for example, you can create each warehouse, the downtown area warehouse and the uptown area warehouse, as warehouses in our system, and you get a holistic view of the stock availability of one particular item across the various warehouses that you have. Not just that, you will also be able to designate a user to each of the warehouses, so that he only gets to view the transactions in the warehouse that he has access to, thereby limiting unwanted access, and it gives you you control over handling the warehouse side of things. And similarly, if you want to rebalance the stock levels, if you want to rebalance the stock level, say due to business reasons or something, you can move stock from one warehouse to the other by creating a transfer order. So these are the various functionalities that we have in terms of how you can handle multiple locations in our system. And next up is one interesting feature. This is one of the major releases this past year, the bin locations. So let's assume you have a large warehouse and hundreds of SKUs to deal with. Managing inventory itself here could be a big problem, and that is exactly where the bin locations come into picture. So using this feature, you'll be able to organize your warehouse into multiple predefined zones like the receiving area, the package area, and also have multiple custom zones created, and also to organize your warehouse down to multiple different racks or shelves, allowing you for a more structured and an efficient storage. And not just that, when you enable bin location for a particular warehouse in our system, you'll be able to organize your warehouse. That is the first thing. And next is, when the items arrive in your warehouse, you'll be able to organize the incoming stock to the respective bins using the put away functionality. And if you want to move bins from, say, move items from one bin to the other, in that case, you can also create move orders. And to top it off, we also have in-depth reports where you'll be able to figure out the stock distribution across the various bins. And the next functionality is the stock counting feature. So as the name suggests, stock counting is the process where you physically verify the quantity of items that you have in your warehouse and match it with the system records. So this is one of the healthy practices to identify discrepancy in the stock levels in your warehouse and what's actually in the in the system. And in the stock counting feature that we offer, you'll be able to create a list of items for which stock counting needs to happen, and you then assign this list to a designated person, a warehouse personnel, and he can actually do the stock counts from the convenience of a mobile phone. So stock counting can be done right from using the mobile application. And if at all there is a discrepancy between what is in the system and what is in the warehouse, the system will automatically flag the discrepancy, and you will now be able to reconcile the stock levels by creating an adjustment. And this stock counting can also be done periodically. You can do periodic stock counts, and you can also do stock counts on a custom basis. And the next functionality is the pick list functionality. Even now, let's take the example of the warehouse, a large warehouse where you have numerous number of SKUs. So in this case also, picking the right item quickly from a large warehouse to process hundreds of orders could itself be a daunting task, and that is exactly where the pick list can make a difference. So using the pick list functionality, you can generate a clear list of items that need to be picked from a particular warehouse, along with the respective quantity and the location. And this pick list can be assigned to a particular user, and it can be tracked until completion. So this gives you better coordination and also ensures accountability. And we have made some major updates in how the pick list, that is in the barcode scanning functionalities in our Android application. So here's a quick snippet of how you can add the items to a pick list just by a simple swipe gesture. So you can just add the items as and when they are picked, not just to, like we support barcode scanning for pick list, but this recent update that we have made, you can just scan and add the items just by a simple swipe gesture as and when they are picked. And with this, we have discussed how you can handle the inventory and the warehouse side of things. Now we are going to be discussing the various features that we have that help you handle your orders better. And this is where everything comes together. In Zoho, we have a set of modules where you can handle your entire sales and purchase cycle seamlessly. So first we'll be discussing the purchase side of things, and then we'll look at the other modules that we have. So in the purchase side of things, right from creating the purchase order to tracking the incoming stock and then handling the account receivables, all of it can be handled seamlessly in one place. And similarly, in the sales side of things, right from creating the sales orders to receiving the sales orders across the various platforms that you sell on to handling the order fulfillment. By order fulfillment, we just saw the warehouse capabilities. You also have this capability where you can create packages and handle the order fulfillment and track the shipment until it is delivered to your end client. So right from creating the sales orders, receiving the sales orders on multiple channels, to handling the order fulfillment, to tracking the delivery until it is delivered to your client, all of it can be done. And you can also handle the accounts receivable side of it from using the various modules that we offer. And not just that, if you have returns, that can also be handled. Sales and purchase returns can be handled using the various functionalities that we offer. And this is not all, not just about sales and purchases. Let's assume you receive a large order and you do not have sufficient quantity to fulfill the items. We will still help you. What is this option is that using the back order functionality, if you are low on stock, say if you receive an order for 10 pieces and if you're low on stock, say for one of the 10 items that you receive, the system will automatically flag that you are low on stock for a particular item, and you will automatically be able to create a back order for all the items that are low on stock. With the quantity itself, the system will give you an alert so that you can automatically create a back order. So back order is nothing but creating an purchase order for the items that are just low in stock. And the next option that we have that helps you handle order fulfillment better is the capability to create drop shipments. So drop shipment is a business model itself. So if you want to handle your order fulfillment, that is if you want your manufacturer to handle order fulfillment on your behalf, that is when you can make use of the drop shipping functionality. So the major difference between the back order and the drop shipment functionality is that in the drop shipment functionality, stock will not be affected into the system. Whereas in the back order, since the goods are going to arrive into the warehouse and then you handle the fulfillment, the stock will be affected. But in the drop shipment, since the fulfillment will be handled directly by the vendor to the client, stock will not be affected into the system. So these are two additional tools, that is the back order and the drop shipment. These are two additional tools that we provide in order to help you quickly handle order fulfillment, particularly when you do not have sufficient stock. And next comes the USP of our product, which is multi-channel selling. So as we discussed, Zoho as a platform, we facilitate multi-channel selling. That is, we integrate with some of the prominent marketplaces and shopping carts. So just to give you an idea, we integrate with Etsy, we integrate with eBay, we integrate with Amazon and FBA. These are all the marketplaces that I'm referring to. And in terms of shopping carts, we integrate with our in-house Zoho Commerce. This is a website builder, and we also integrate with Shopify. So you can integrate each of these platforms into Zoho, or you can also integrate all of these platforms with us. And when you integrate all of these platforms into Zoho, we will be able to help you manage your orders across all the various channels that you sell on, and we'll streamline the inventory numbers for you across all the different platforms that you sell. So here's a quick workflow on how the integration will work like. So this is a quick a diagram that is explaining the workflow. So let's assume you have a website, say on a marketplace. So once you integrate the website or a shopping cart with Zoho, all the listings that you have on that particular platform will automatically be synced into Zoho inventory as items. So that is the very first thing that happens. And from there on, we will be the master in terms of stock, and the stock here in Zoho will instantly be reflected on all the channels. So let me give you a quick example of how this is going to make a big difference for you. So let's assume you're running a business and you choose to sell on multiple channels. That is, you have your own physical store, a brick and mortar store, and you also choose to sell on Zoho Commerce, and you also have a store on Amazon. Let's assume I walk into your store and make a purchase, and this is going to result in a reduction of stock level, which needs to be instantly reflected on all the integrated channels that you have, that is Shopify or Zoho Commerce or Amazon. So this is exactly where we come into the picture. Whenever there is a change in stock levels in Zoho, it will instantly be reflected across all the integrated channels that we have, thereby thereby preventing you from overselling items. And then after the stock sync is done, we help you manage your orders across the different platforms that you sell on. So if you integrate with all of these platforms, the sales orders that you receive on those platforms will automatically be synced into system, and we leave it to the discretion of the end customer to either handle the fulfillment, that is the shipment, here in Zoho or at the marketplace's end. So if you choose to handle fulfillment, that is shipment in Zoho, we'll sync back the shipment details, that is the carrier information or the tracking number, back to the respective marketplace. Or if you choose to handle the fulfillment in the respective marketplace, we'll fetch the shipment status from the respective marketplace. So this is about how the integration works, particularly in terms of multi-channel selling. And one thing I missed to update is that we also sync the customer information along with the sales orders. And here's a quick feedback on what one of our customers based in the USA, that is Kusin Cosmetics, has to say about our order processing time. So he has spoken about how we have helped him reduce our order processing times and increase turnaround times, particularly using the Shopify integration. And one major update that we have made in the Shopify side of things is that you've made the Shopify integration, you've enhanced the Shopify integration and made your experience with Shopify with us even better. So we now have the option where you can have a flexible customer mapping. That is, earlier we synced all the customers from Shopify as individual customers. We now have this option where you can choose to sync all customers from Shopify as a single customer. So this, say if you want to keep a track of all sales from Shopify under a single customer name, this is where it comes handy. This feature comes in handy. And we also have this option where you can integrate multiple stores from Shopify into Zoho. So if you're one such user where you have multiple stores from Shopify and if you've integrated them with Zoho, we now have this option where you can define sync preferences for each store that you sell on. So each Shopify store can have a separate or a distinct sync preference of its own. This means that the sync is even more faster and you have better control over the sync that happens. And the last update that we have is the capability, like, is how we have enhanced the sync filters that are available. So earlier in the sync filters that existed for Shopify integration, we just showed you the list of syncs that happened, and it might be hard for you to figure out what exactly failed or which time it particularly failed. So we now have enhanced the sync filters so that you can filter the sync for history based on the status of the sync, that is based on successes and failure. You'll be able to filter down the sync history. And we also have this option, we now have this option where you can sync the filters based on the type of sync that has happened. You can choose to filter down just the item sync or the sales order sync, and just figure out what has been failed and make corrective changes if needed. So this is about how we have enhanced the Shopify integration. And next comes the shipping integration, the last piece of the puzzle, which is delivering the product to your customer. So in terms of order fulfillment, that is particularly about shipping, we have two options. One is we help you, that is, if you as a business, if you handle order fulfillment on your own, if you ship through your own means, through your own transport, we have this option where you can record a shipment manually in Zoho. That is one of the options. If you choose to ship items using a carrier that we don't currently integrate with, in that case, we let you track shipments real time. We have an option where you can track shipments real time without having to generate shipping labels from within Zoho. For that, we have the after ship integration. And the last option is what is the most powerful option that we have: integrations with various shipping carriers ourselves. So we directly integrate with UPS and we integrate with USPS, and we also integrate with various shipping aggregators like EC Post, EC Ship, Envia, through which we integrate with a set of other shipping carriers. So if you handle, if you integrate with these carriers in Zoho, you will be able to generate shipping labels from within Zoho itself. So you do not have to juggle between, the shipping carrier's website or Zoho in order to handle your fulfillment. Right when you create an order, if you have integrated with, EC Post, or if you have integrated with UPS, you will automatically be able to generate shipping labels from within Zoho. And in order to collect payments, in order to make collecting payments easier, we now integrate with payment gateways, various payment gateways. Zoho Payments, we've recently launched Zoho Payments today. So we integrate with payments so that you can make your payment collection easier. So you can send a link across to your client, receive payments online, and this payment that you receive will automatically be reflected in the transactions that you've made. And the accounting integrations that we have, we seamlessly integrate with Zoho Books, which is our in-house accounting platform. Otherwise, we also integrate with Xero and QuickBooks Online. So the core idea of this integration is that we let you handle the inventory side of things in Zoho. Using Zoho, you'll be able to handle your inventory, multi-channel orders, warehouse management, and we sync back the accounting related transactions, that is the invoices and the bills, over to QuickBooks or Xero, so that you can handle the accounting side of it from using the respective accounting platform. And in order to facilitate communication between your customers and within the team, we now integrate with Twilio and WhatsApp. So this lets you facilitate communication between your customers. So if you want to notify your customers via message, whenever you send an invoice, or if you want to send an SMS notification to your client when a payment happens, or if you want to notify your client when an invoice has been processed, for SMS notification we have Twilio, and we also integrate with WhatsApp for instant sales notification. Similarly, if you want inter-team communication, that is, if you want to collaborate with members of your company, you can use the internal, that is the Click integration. So using the Click integration, you'll be able to initiate a discussion on a specific, say, transaction and have the work done. Makes the work even more easier for you. And if you want to get notified, say, if you as a team, if you want to get notified when there is an online order that has been processed, or if you receive an item from Shopify, or if you have an order from any marketplace, if you want to get notified as a team, in that case, such use cases can also be handled using the Click and the Slack integration. And we integrate well within the Zoho ecosystem. We now integrate with CRM, analytics, Zoho Desk, Zoho Click, Books, and Commerce. So using the CRM integration, you'll be able to sync the contacts and the accounts that you have over to Zoho Inventory, and we also sync the product and the vendor information. And a new tab called the Zoho Finance tab gets enabled within the CRM, allowing you to handle the transactions, that is, sync the transactions as well using this integration. And analytics, like if you want to build powerful reports on top of, say, the data using in our system, you can make use of the analytics integration. So analytics is a business intelligence tool, as you all know. It helps you build reports of your own. And Zoho Desk integration, like if you have a customer facing team, and if you want to equip your customer facing agent with necessary information to fulfill your orders, you can set up an integration between Desk and Inventory, so that this the customer facing agent has enough information to help your customers. Say if they come up asking for the order processing time or the status of the order, with this integration, the customer facing agent will have necessary information about the order or the package, so that he can communicate to the end client of yours. And Zoho Click and Books, I think we've seen it enough. In commerce, we all integrate seamlessly with the Zoho Finance ecosystem. And next is, in terms of productivity, we integrate with Google Workspace and Office 365. And for sales and marketing, we integrate with Google Shopping, which is a native integration. And other third-party integrations that we have in the sales and marketing side of things is we integrate with MailChimp and Salesforce. Automation and customization, I'm not going to talk much about it. because we have covered it all in the finance masterclass and the other sessions that we have had. Just to give you a quick idea of what we offer. So if you as a customer, if you want to send an email notification, a customized email notification when an invoice is received or when a purchase order is to be sent, you can customize the email notifications, and you can also customize the look and feel of how the PDF looks like, the invoice PDF or the sales order PDF, or the purchase order PDF. That can also be customized. And in terms of workflow, the capabilities are endless. So any business requirement, any repeated business task that you do, if you want to automate it, that can also be done. Say for example, if you say receive a sales order, and if you want to automatically send an email to your warehouse personnel when you receive a sales order, that can be done. A slew of other use cases can also be handled. So yeah, that is about how the automation and the customization can be handled. And next up is the reporting capabilities that we have. So we have 50 plus inbuilt reports. And not just that, if you want to, we have also now extended the custom reporting capabilities, and we have also introduced powerful filters within the existing reports that we have. So just to give you an idea about the kind of reports that we have, I'm just going to showcase the key reports that we offer. The inventory valuation report, which gives you an insight on the value of the existing items that you own, and the stock summary report, if you want to track the stock movement between a particular date range, you can make use of the stock summary report. And if you want to keep a track of impending sales actions, that is, if you want to know the quantity of items that is to be invoiced or shipped or packed, any impending sales action, you can make use of the order fulfillment by item report. Not just inventory tracking reports, even advanced inventory tracking reports like the serial number tracking report or the batch details report is also available. And in terms of the warehouse management, we have reports where you can have figure out the stock distribution across the various spins, and we also have reports for stock counting. So with this, we've almost come to the end of today's presentation, and goes without saying, we have our iOS and Android application, so you can do all of this on the go using our mobile app. So yeah, and if you have any questions, I'm here, and if you want to reach out to our support, you can use this email. Thank you everyone.